Hello everyone, Will Rogers, Day Wireless Systems. In this video we're going to be doing a comparison of a couple of fisheye cameras in some difficult light conditions, and regular light conditions as well. So we're going to be comparing the Samsung 710 series, the Samsung 810 series, and the Mobotix 6 megapixel daylight and nighttime sensors. So let's just take a look. What I did was I set these cameras up in the conference room that I'm sitting in right now, and let's just pull up the first video and take a look here. So what you can see, obviously the 710 is right here in the middle. This is the 810 off to the left, and we've got the Mobotix cameras on the right. The 710 I've operated in full fisheye view because that's all the camera can do. It does not support camera side dewarping, which both the 810 and the Mobotix cameras do. So if you wanted to dewarp this, you're going to have to do it through your VMS, whether it's Milestone, ONSSI, Exact, whatever. The cameras were recording directly to SD cards on the cameras. Samsung cameras were using H.264, pretty much their highest resolution that they support, into an AVI format. The Mobotix cameras were recording directly to their SD card using their MXPEG format, which is kind of an advanced version of H.264. The cameras themselves were pretty much default. I didn't try and tweak the settings to make them ideal for the room or make them poor for the room or anything like that. This is pretty much what comes out of the box. I did do a couple of minor tweaks, I put this up here. I changed it into, by default it's going to record as a motion JPEG to the SD card on the Samsungs. I switched that to H.264 because that's what most people are going to be using. And, those are the kind of tweaks that I did. So, taking a look, on this one I went through, I've got come into the room, wave. I want to show off these markers. You can see the different colors on there as well as the text. And if you look carefully, you can kind of see it. One frame back would have been better, but it was Expo on there, and just wanted to see if you can or cannot read the text at various levels. It would help if we could do a digital zoom on this, which we can't because of just the limitations of Windows Media Player. But again, I wanted a fair way of playing everything back. So once I've gone through, kind of showed off how things are looking, walking past the camera, you can see there's a little bit of a blur, and that just comes with H.264. There's not much you can do about that. So then I turn the lights off, and it's dark. It's very dark in the room. We're talking I can't see as a human. A lot of times cameras can see better than humans, but you get the idea. So once I was here, I took out my phone, which you'll see in a minute, right there. And then, I've got it pointed towards my face so you can see what somebody looking at their phone as they walk by may look like. And as you can tell, there's a lot of ghosting because it's got to use such a long exposure time to try and get any picture out of this. Then I take the markers and I toss them up in the air, trying to catch them like I did with the lights on until I end up dropping them all on the ground. And then I go over and turn the lights back on. So that was what I went through, did it for all the cameras. The Mobotix cameras, day-night, you can hook both of them up at the same time, and when the light drops down, it'll switch over from the color sensor to the black and white sensor. I did not do that in this experiment. I wanted to see what the color looked like at night and what the black and white looked like in the day. So I've got those as separated videos. I also went back. I found that video, or that setting, was way too dark. None of the cameras could actually see anything useful in it. So I went back, I put a flashlight in the room, pointed into the back of one of these chairs so that you get just a little bit of light. You can see, you can tell, there's pictures here, there's a whiteboard over there. It's still very, very dark, but it's better to where you can get an idea of what the cameras do under this lighting condition. So here it's a little hard to see. Okay, so right there I was moving the markers back and forth in front of the sensors again. With the little white blur. Then I believe at some point, and like I said, it is really hard to see on this one. So this camera was the poorest performing of the three in the dark. And yeah, I was walking around tossing the markers, didn't catch any of that. So this one needs a lot of light. And that's not to say that cameras themselves are bad. They're not magical. They need light. And so with this one, you can put an IR light out there if you want, or just regular lights. You want to keep your place deterred, do that. But one thing about it is nobody's going to be comfortably robbing you in the dark unless they've got like night vision goggles on. And then right here, I'm just showing off the wide dynamic aspects of it. And in this particular camera, I did not have wide dynamic range turned on because the color looks a lot better without it turned on. But the camera does support it. It uses the WiseNet 3 chipset, so you can do that if you want. Okay, so now let's take a look at the other cameras, see how those turned out. Okay, so looking at the 810 series camera. Now this particular unit, I was having some trouble recording directly to the SD card. It did record, but it was not as smooth of a recovery experience as with either the Mobotix or the 710 series. Now I know that this was Samsung's first 5 megapixel camera, so there may be some issues on the firmware. I don't really know what to say about that. So let's start with this one. And I have to refresh myself on what's going on. Okay, so there we go. This is what it looked like in the dark. And there's the cell phone illuminating my face. And you can see it's much better quality than we got out of the 710 series. It's still ghosting, but it's a lot brighter. You can definitely tell that there's something going on there. And once again, without the lighting, there's not really much to see. So at this point, I'm tossing the markers up and down, dropping them on the ground, and then over here you'll see my feet as I walk through the door and turn the lights on, pick everything up, and it's going to kind of turn back into color mode right there. And so, like I said, with this camera we did the camera side dewarping, so you get this nice wall-to-wall shot, one camera. Very nice. They also come with you can get the 10 degree down. Actually, it might be 20 degrees, but you get a tilt on there. You put it up high, you get a nice wide angle of the room. And it's a great overview camera for situational awareness. And, it's a good picture overall. You can definitely tell what's going on. There, I'm thinking about if I need to do something in the room yet. I haven't decided. I guess I decided I didn't need to do it. So that's the 810 under the dark and light conditions. And then in this one, around 2 minutes or so, this is where I came in and I actually set the flashlight up. So you can get an idea of what the lighting was. So right now, we're pitch black. The door's going to open, close it behind me. And now I've got the flashlight, and I just wanted to see, kind of what everything was looking like. And, depending on where you put the flashlight, you're getting a lot of light out of that thing. So at first I put it shining on the back wall, and that's way too bright. I mean, it's not a difficult lighting situation there. I mean, it's not great, but it's not difficult. So eventually I settled upon putting it into the back of a chair. So you get a little bit of a reflection out of there, but it's still really dark. So this camera is doing a lot better than the 710 series was. As you can see, I can actually tell there's pictures on the wall over here. There's markers. I look like a ghost. I'm very transparent in some locations. But you can still see what's going on. You can tell the shape of the room. You can tell that there's something going on in here. I don't believe that the camera was actually registering this as a motion detection event. I can't remember. I probably should have turned on the little boxes that track where it's detecting motion, but that's neither here nor there. But I just wanted to show that this camera in the dark did perform quite a bit better than the 710 series. So in the next segment, we'll take a look at the Mobotix cameras and see how they did. So in this case, I was using the S15, but all Mobotix cameras use basically the same sensors, same optics, same software. So this should look the same for pretty much any Mobotix camera. So we'll start off with the color. And again, like I said, this was a dewarped image. I'll move my face down here. And there you get the colors. And one thing with the Mobotix cameras with that motion JPEG, or not motion JPEG, MXPEG, you do get a little bit better frame replay on there. There's definitely not as much blur as we saw in the 710 series. I mean, right there it's still faster than the shutter speed will handle, but it is a little bit more clear. And let's notice that you don't have nearly, it's almost a straight line there. You don't have quite the artifacting that you get with H.264. And just take a look right now with the lights on in the room. The camera was registering 43 or 47.3 lux. We can go to turn this off, and we are at 0 lux. And this is the first one that we saw with the 710, where none of the cameras were passing. The lighting's so poor in here that there's nothing you can really do. You can see with the cell phone light, get a little bit, you can tell there's somebody there, but it's not a great picture. But on the contrary, you don't have a lot of motion blur with that, even with that little bit of light. And then eventually, okay, so there were the markers being waved in front of the screen. And lights come back on. And there we go. Now, shame on me, I didn't redo the color sensor in the low light that I did, but I do have the black and white one. That's this guy right here. So you can tell I was over there picking up the markers. Now it's definitely grainy, but you'll also notice that I'm not transparent. You can see that there is a person there. There is definitely something moving around. Now, and you can almost tell what I'm doing. You can tell, I look like 8-bit Mario here, but you can tell that I'm sticking my arm out and I'm throwing stuff around. There is something there, something worth investigating. And actually, let's just go back for a minute and just take a look. And you'll see again here that the sensor itself is registering 0 lux. Now we know that it's a little better than 0 lux, but it's very, very, very low light. Like I said, when I was tossing those markers up, I couldn't see them to catch them. So it's dark enough that at an arm's length I can't see opaque marker floating through the air. And so once the light turns on, here in the with the night sensor, they don't use a mechanical cup filter. Mobotix doesn't use any moving parts, so you're stuck with a black and white image even during the daytime, which, you know, that's okay. It's not it's not the worst thing in the world. That's how things used to be, but it's always nice to have color when you've got it. And then I went through and did the basically the strong backlighting. So they're shining at the 810. They're shining at the 710. And there it's shining right at me. And see right there, you can still read it, even with the really strong lighting. So that pretty much concludes what we've got to look at. I hope that this video may have helped clear up some questions you may have had about the performance of these cameras in various light situations. And if you have any other questions, comments, feel free to get in touch with me. You can just leave your comments below. Thanks for watching.